Hey, Bill.
Morning. How's it going?
How you doing?
Doing all right. How about you guys?
Doing great.
Good.
5-4 entering the bye. In your mind, what are the things most in need of improvement before you kick off the second half of the season against the Jets?
I mean, there are a lot of little things to clean up, but I'd say overall consistency would be probably our number one thing. Just being able to execute and coach and play with more consistency. That would help us.
Bill, when you look at the consistency things and you start to look at maybe some of the issues that are affecting, whether it's the O-line, are some of those problems that you're able to see on film, is it guys just getting to bad techniques or is it more of a scheme thing that's leading to some of the inconsistencies?
It's probably a little bit of everything.
Bill, when you look at Matt Judon and the season he's been having, he now leads the league with sacks. Is he the best defensive player in the NFL in your eyes?
I haven't seen all the players in the NFL this year. Just really focused on our team and the teams we've played. But yeah, Matt does a good job for us, and has obviously caused a lot of negative plays and disruption, and he's playing well and playing hard, and he's been really productive for us.
Bill, kind of going off of that, I think it's your defensive line, your front seven has done a tremendous job of getting after the quarterback. As you look at the tape, what are you noticing that's kind of leading to the success that you're having up front?
Well, we had more success when we've been in control of the game and, dictated the situation to our opponents. We didn't really have that in Chicago. And so, again, it's complementary football. Just everybody performing well. Coverage, the pass rush, they play off each other. Can't really have one without the other. So a lot of our pressure on the quarterbacks due to good coverage. A lot of our coverage is due to good pressure on the quarterback. So we combine those things. That's good team defense. And we'll just have to continue to try to play that way, to play good complementary football with all the units working together. That's really the key for us.
Bill, my guy Scheim over here says that he feels like Mac has an issue when it comes to seeing the field. Scheim, I don't want to speak for you, but are you, Bill? Do you see that at times when it comes to Mac?
I think that's one of his strengths. I think he sees the field pretty good, but yeah.
Okay.
Sure, Shine's got his opinion. That's fine. But no, I think he sees the field pretty well.
Yeah, just do what we do. We don't pay any attention to Shime's opinions either, Bill.
I talk to a wall here.
You and I are on the same page when it comes to that.
Bill, the defense did great against third downs yesterday. Judon after the game said that Josh Uche is the one that is communicating when it comes to third down. How impressed are you by him, his play, but also the way that he's able to communicate with the team as a relatively young player still?
Yeah, he's pretty much been doing that all year. We started really working with him in those areas and early in the spring, started the off-season program. And, Josh has done a good job. He's really embraced that. Again, it's just making sure we're all on the same page on what we're doing, and those guys are starting to work together. I mean, minus far more. Hopefully, we'll get him back in there. But Dan and Josh, Juwan, Mac Wilson, obviously Wise, Judon, and Uche, kind of our edge guys there. So. Yeah, but Josh is a smart kid. And, he's done a good job. He's really, gained a lot of experience and confidence here in the especially this year, but even last year in the second year.
Bill, you always talk about cleaning up some areas, and when you look at special teams, I think maybe some of the things that you look at is just the punt team and just as far as the net punting goes. But one of the areas on your special teams, it seems like consistently, week in and week out, the return game seems to look good. You guys had a block punt. How important is it to continue to make sure that special teams is playing a major factor in a positive way moving forward, but also knowing that you have to clean up some of those other things?
Yeah, well, that's an important part of the game every week, and we have a number of players who are really core type players that are almost totally dedicated to the special teams. I mean, besides obviously the specialists, but Slater, Schooler, DeMarcus Mitchell, Webb, guys like that, and then there are other players who are involved in anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 phases. But those guys have primary roles. Their primary role is in the kicking game, and that gives us some flexibility where they can do different things and move them around and use them in different matchup roles depending on what we're facing and what the scheme is that we're looking at that particular week. So, Cam and Joe, special teams coaches, they do a great job with that. Slater obviously gives us a lot of, on-field communication and leadership, but guys like Peppers and John Jones and Mac Wilson, Devai, those guys are playing quite a few snaps. Duggar, playing quite a few snaps in the kicking game, and along with our core guys, it's given us some pretty solid units, and as you said, fairly consistent production in the return game, in the coverage game, and the specialty kind of plays, like the onside kick recovery. That was a big one for us last week. Those situational plays that you don't think about too much until they come up, and then once they come up, then everything rides on them. So,
Bill, Tom Brady became the first NFL player to throw for over 100,000 yards last night. Vast majority of those, obviously, with you here. Did you ever think that we would see that?
No, that's a tremendous accomplishment by Tom, and a real credit to everything about him: his longevity, his accuracy, consistency, just doing so many things right in the passing game for so long. It's a phenomenal accomplishment, and I'm really happy for him. Nobody deserves it more than he does. He's worked extremely hard and just very good at what he does, and that's an amazing stat.
You think
I don't even know how far 100,000 yards is. It must be a long way. I don't know how many miles, or I have no idea, but that's a great accomplishment.
It's actually 56.8 miles, Bill.
Jesus. Can you imagine? Yeah.
But you think he's how many more? You think he's got a couple more years in him, Bill?
You'd have to talk to him about that. I don't know.
Bill, when you have the bye week and kind of, I think the most important things teams try to do is kind of get some of that self-scouting, self-evaluation. What's the message that you try to, convey to your team during the bye week to kind of make sure that they understand, where they are and where they're headed?
Yeah, well, that's just it. Try to identify the areas that you need to improve on, and maybe address some of the things that may be, coming up that you may or may not have had to deal with earlier in the season. But yeah, this would be a big opportunity for us, and honestly a big challenge for us to, try to take a positive step forward here in our development as a team, in the last 8 regular season games. So we'll try to do the best we can with the time and opportunity we have.
I don't know if you have big plans for the bye week or if you're a bowler, but we got an event with Ty Law tomorrow night if you want to come out and bowl, Bill.
I appreciate the invitation, but no, we'll be here. We'll be here. We got stuff we need to do. But thank you.
Well, Bill, but my last question before I go.
Wait a minute. Big balls or candlepin when you do bowl, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, all the above. Duck pins, pen pins, candle pins. Yeah, I've hit them all. Not very many of them, but I've hit them.
So, Bill, I had an autograph signing over the weekend, and I was fortunate to be able to sit right next to Lawrence Taylor. And I had told him, he put a little message together for my son, who's a huge fan of him, my son at AZ, because, kind of tried to pattern his game after him. And I asked him about you. He had glowing things to say about you. What made LT such a unique and great player so I can then convey them to my my boys at home that play defense? To actually meet him in person, I kind of was starstruck because it was Lawrence Taylor, and you watch him play. But what made him so unique as a player?
Well, first of all, if they have you and LT doing autographs together, you must have got a pretty good paycheck for that one.
No, not really.
Pretty good draw there. Yeah, honestly, I can't say enough great things about Taylor. He's an elite talent for sure, but beyond that, his physical and mental toughness, his instincts in the game, he had a great feel and could just tell a lot of things before the ball was even snapped just by the way guys looked at him, the way their posture was, the way that he could anticipate things, that would happen in the game. And he saw obviously all the double teams and every possible way you could take care of him. And he was able to figure out how to deal with all that attention that he was getting from the offense in terms of blockers and running away from them and things like that. He's a very, very smart football player, as good as anybody and better than most. But like in the Rodney Harrison category, Brewski, guys like that just had a tremendous football IQ and instinct, and Taylor never came off the field. I mean, it's not like some of these, you see guys rotate now, they play 3 or 4 plays and jog off, and really, he never came off the field. But he knew what the key plays in the game were. Third down and red area and, key plays that could really, everybody knew this was a big play in the game. And I would say those are the plays that he consistently played his best on. So again, that just goes into the whole instinctiveness and awareness and savvy and just being a really, really good football player. I was a special teams coach there, Wiggy, and I used him on all 4 teams. He covered kickoffs, which nobody could block him. He covered punts as a gunner, which nobody could block him out there. Now, that led to some other problems when people started using like Dexter Manley and Monty Coleman and other guys, similar type athletes out there. So that was a situation I wish I really probably hadn't have started, but they couldn't block him. And then, he was on punt rush. I mean, he was really hard to block for the punt protection team. You got a bunch of DBs and, linebackers in there trying to block Taylor. And then on kickoff return, he was on the front line, he was kind of a kick-out block guy, and so he would come across the field and, sometimes wipe out 2 or 3, 4 guys, on one block, because he had the, explosion and timing to play in the open field. So when you look at his skill set and his ability to transfer it onto the football field, to move as fast as he did and create as much contact and force as he did, that's, being able to hit on the move in football is a tremendous skill. And I would say there's nobody that I've been around that was better at it than him. Maybe Harrison, who wasn't nearly as big. I mean, Rodney was a big guy, but not big like Taylor was big. Like those two would probably be the two most explosive players that that I think I've had. But Taylor's really in a class by himself. I can't put anybody really that close to him. Coached a lot of great players, but he was really just unbelievably dominant.
Bill, Wiggy brought up his son. If you coach long enough, would you do him a solid and draft his kid?
It used to be, the players, sons, and now it's even moving down to the next generation that those kids are starting to come up. So, it's starting to, I'm starting to see multi-generations but I've had plenty of, sons of players I've coached or sons of players that I've coached against. And it's really, it's fun to watch players come in as rookies and grow and retire and have great careers. And then you sit around long enough and then here comes another one. Like Orlando Brown, having him at Cleveland, and then the new Orlando Brown, coming to Baltimore and now Kansas City, and he's really kind of a spitting image of his father. And now, Wiggy and, Brewski and Troy Brown, and all these guys, all their kids are playing, and it's like they're all pretty good too. So, it's really fun to watch them all grow up and be high school, college, and then, pro players.
Never mind Shula's record. What you got to do is coach until you can draft somebody's grandson.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there's a couple kicking around there. Ninkovich. These guys. They're. I see the clips of their kids playing and follow them a little bit. And I'm telling you, we got a lot of football players running around here.
All right, Bill. Well, great to talk to you this morning. Congrats on the win, and we will talk to you again next week.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good week.
All
Thanks,
right.
Greg.